I feel like I'm over to the side. Hang on, there we go. That's better. I'm in the middle now. Hopefully you can hear me. Yep, mic's on. Excellent. Happy Thursday, everybody. Praise be the spiral. Yeah, welcome everyone. I'm feeling rather tired today, so I'm gonna try this magical elixir called Recordling Swedish Cider. I hear it's gonna wake me up. I might be wrong. I might be getting it the wrong way around. It might be putting me to sleep, but we shall see. It's all gonna be good. We're gonna drink cider and try and optimize code and stay awake. Should be fun. Yeah, there you go. That's how you frame a photo. Glad somebody there's got the skills to capture your dogs the right way around and stuff. It is a very good photo. Can definitely tell it's professional. Well, I mean, the bar was pretty low as well, to be honest. Okay. Actually, you've had some good shots. You've had some good shots, but that's probably the best shot so far. So, I forgot anything tonight to say. Oh, the post stuff from Saturday's giveaways. Those have gone out today. So I think Dr. Vulcan should be receiving his probably tomorrow. Actually, Doxter, I have no idea when you'll receive yours. This is a post to Norway for you, so I don't know when that will be. There aren't any tracking numbers on these ones either. They're not tracked. They're just standard posts. So you'll just have to wait and see what happens. It should be. It is an express shipment though, so it should appear at some point. Relatively soon. It's not going to be like weeks and weeks and weeks. At least I don't think they gave me a tracking number. I'll double check for you, but I don't think I got a tracking number for it. That's probably about it, actually. The competitions for this month has been pretty decent. I've got quite a few entries now. 8, 9, 12, 13 entries so far. I think there's maybe 2 of those are basic and ASM entries, so 11 individuals. I don't want to give too much away, but just to kind of spur you on for the last day and a half, maybe I'll give you some benchmarks. So let me pick some numbers. Okay, so for the ASM, there is at least 1 entry, maybe more, but at least 1 below 50 bytes. PRG. And for basic, there is at least 1 entry below 100 bytes. So there you go. I'm thinking about it. I have not checked the mail, but if it's there today, I'd be very surprised. I only dropped it off at the post office this morning. Well, that's lunchtime actually. So yeah, there's some targets to go for. So yeah, so 50, as I say, it could be more than 1, but there's at least 1 ASM entry below 50, and there's at least 1 a basic entry below 100. Nice round numbers. That's about it, really. Oh, I have posted an FAQ as well on the Mega 65 competition. There's not much on it at the moment. So if you do have any questions or you feel like there's something that needs clarifying a little bit, please go to the community page on there. I'll drop a link in a second and ask a question on that thread. I mean, at the moment, there's just 2 questions on there: which ROM to use and which version of XEMU to use. So the thing with XEMU is I've decided that what I'll do is, rather than set the branch in stone today or last week, I'm going to leave it till 2 weeks before the submission date, and then so what I put in there, I'll read the the answer now. So the question is, which version of XEMU will be used? And I've replied, as with the ROM version, we will use the same version of XEMU for all entries. However, to allow the reporting of any emulator issues or missing features and any subsequent fixes, this will be the merger branch as it stands on the 2359 on November the 19th. So that's 2 weeks before the submission date. Whatever XEMU is at that point, that is the version we will be using, unless there are some serious stability issues with it. So if there's some kind of serious issue with it, then we'll pick a different version. It will be communicated as soon as possible. But you can kind of take it that the version that's there on November the 19th will be the version that we'll be using. This is just so that if you do, because I want to use this as a way to promote kind of XEMU fixes and kind of involvement in that project by those taking part. So if you do find something that's missing, that you feel would be a small kind of addition, speak with the XEMU guys, LGB in particular, or myself. You can speak to myself as well. I can help a little bit, but I can't do as much as LGB, nowhere near as much, to try and get whatever it is you want put in, or whatever fix you need putting in. There's no guarantee that will happen, so don't rely on that, and you need to do it as quickly as possible, as I say, because it may take a little time to get those issues fixed. But if you do find something and you think it can be done relatively quickly, feel free to kind of chat with oh, there you go. So I put both backgrounds in, but I only re-registered the first one. I have to run a little script to add all the new images in, so that one isn't there, unfortunately. Sorry about that. I'll remember for Saturday. In fact, I can run the script now really quickly, so but it won't be there until Saturday anyway, so at least I don't think so. I don't think it, no, because I have to restart the overlay for it to happen, so I'm not going to do that now, just in case it screws things up, and it's likely to screw things up, because I feel it'd be a very, very good chance for me to get lost in problem fixing, which I don't want to do. Although saying that, tonight's topic is optimizing. We're going to have a look at the Robotron room in particular. We're just going to take a look at that and see if we can do anything to optimize that code a little bit. The reason I want to optimize it now is because, well, firstly, I realized that actually the way it stands now is probably okay. I don't really need to include sprites. I don't think there's enough enemies there for that to cover most of the Robotron screens, I think. The sprites can then be reserved for the more complex enemies on some of the others. So on the first screen, it's just those little Robotron enemies, the ones that we've been using. In fact, let me load it up. And but when it comes to some of the later screens, they're a bit more complex, and there's some sprites in there that are a little bit. Oh God! Wow. Is next month? No. Quiz. Yeah, I'll start that in a second. So I just want to show what we're going to do tonight. So I was just going to say, oh yeah, so the these dudes, there's kind of enough going on there, but I kind of want to reduce the amount of time it takes to process these, because it is quite a lot. But they're moving fine. I don't expect more than that. I'm happy with that. That's kind of enough, I think. Oh, there's a bit of a crash there. I don't know what that is, so we'll figure that out as well. So that's all we're going to do tonight. We're just going to do some optimization around those things. The next challenge will be a music challenge. It's going to be a dual SID challenge. I've already got the kind of theme in mind. I just need to write up some rules for it. So it probably won't be this Saturday that it gets announced. I'll probably leave it a week and do it on the following Saturday. I think it's probably fine, because this Saturday is going to be the 25th of September. So it's still only going to be the very beginning of next month. So it's going to be like the 2nd or something. Oh yeah, no new Joe KPI. That's a really good point. I need to check that out. Let me write a note to remind myself to do that. Big lot writing on here. honestly, I've been so kind of knackered with work. I'm surprised I managed to do anything. I really was very close to not doing tonight, but I thought, sod it, I'll do it anyway. Gives me a chance to drink anyway, so. The winner gets a chance to put their tune in my game. Well, it's going to be on a very specific theme, so it might not fit your game. And here's where we find out that the chosen theme is Andy's game. Yeah, it's I've got a theme in mind, and I think it's in terms of being able to vote on things, I think it's kind of perfect for voting on things. So we shall. I'll announce that, as I say, next week, not this week. I may announce it on Thursday, but it's probably going to be Saturday. I think, just to give me enough time to write the rules properly, and because what I want to do with the music is create a kind of a disc loader for these tunes. So the tune entries will all be on. Let me have points while I talk about this. The tune entries will all be done in Vice, so you'll be doing the tunes in Vice, using the. It's probably going to be the 6581 because I think by default that's what the Mega 65 is using. I know there's been some talk recently about having it switch between the two, having a way to switch between the two, but it will be for the 6581, I think. So dual 6581s, and that'll be one in the left ear, one in the right ear. So there'll be some rules about that, about which memory locations you can use and kind of where it should sit in memory. But that's about the only rule you'll have, and it needs to be supplied as a SID.SID tune. And the reason for that is because of what I want to do is take all the entries and put them onto a disc with maybe a little bit of a demo kind of scroller or something like that. And so I can share that with the community when it's done. And it will be anonymous as well, so you have to kind of keep your tunes to yourselves. There will be a rule in there to say that you will be disqualified if you're found to have shared the tune with anybody else, or if you hint that a tune is yours while we're on the stream, because it needs to be kind of an anonymous kind of voting system, so it's fair. But as I say, I'll work the rules out for that. Thank you very much for the host, Paris7 and Andy Magic Knight, and thank you very much for the gift sub to Ian from Andy as well. Cheers, everyone. I can put the winner tune into my game, which is called Guess Whose Tune Is Playing. All right, let me start the stuff off for you guys, and then you can be distracted while I do things badly. Oh god, I can really feel the magical effects of the recording elixir. It's doing its job. Is there a tracker yet? There is. Actually, is there a tracker? There's a player. I know there's a mod player that will play Amiga mods, so I know that will work with Amiga trackers. However, oh, this looks familiar. No, it doesn't. I thought it was something else. Oh, wow. Okay, I should have known that. Interestingly, the Nintendo 64, you'll probably notice from the answers that were there was one of the things I noticed with all, well, not all, but most of the Nintendo 64 games is that they have the number 64 at the end. So that is one of the things that's removed from all the answers. So if a game, you can type Road Rash 64, but it will also accept Road Rash. Just because otherwise it'd be really unfair. People would be like losing points because they forgot to put 64 on the end of a game that were that was for Nintendo 64 and 64. Thank you very much for the bits, Emma. Appreciate it as ever. I cannot drink very fast though tonight. I've got to take my time with this. So. Okay, so let's I don't think there's anything else I need to say. I think that's kind of it really. Yeah, I think that's it. I just need to. I need the next month or so just to get used to being back at work. It's crazy how tiring it is just walking into the office and just doing things. You know, socializing with people, and it's weird. I've not got used to it at all yet. I feel like baby's first outing into the wide world. It's very, very strange. Okay. Yeah, so we're going to do a bit of optimization tonight. So it means we're going to take a look at the code around the Robotron screen, see if there's any ways we can reduce the overhead for it. There is at least one thing I know we can do, which I was thinking about the other night. I can't remember what it was now. It's bound to be in here, isn't it? Yeah, there it is. Thank you very much for the bits, Gareth, as well. I appreciate it. Thank you very, very much. Oh, wow. Yeah, I've got 2 bottles of cider. I think I'll be lucky if I get through one, to be honest. All right, let me set the view up, split it. And let me put 0-page stuff, because it's probably likely we can make some enhancements by using 0-page. However, we've got to be a little bit careful with 0-page because we've got quite a lot of it already being used. We do have this temporary 0-page storage, which gets cleared between each screens. Yeah, because it doesn't get cleared, it potentially gets overwritten. So, Pro7, thank you very much for the bits. I'm going to just sip this one. Cheers. I know I don't have to drink every time I get bits, but I feel like it's the least I can do. I said the least I could do would be nothing, right? So I'm just lying to you. The least I could do would be absolutely nothing. Such a stupid phrase, that. The least anybody could do about anything is nothing. So, yeah. Okay. The competition in November, by the way, will be an art competition. I'm not sure how that's going to work. I've been pitched an idea. I will discuss that with that person at some point. So I need to have a think about it. Hey, Mystic A, how you doing? Good to see you on here. I've not been in your stream for a while, actually. I do pop in now and again and have a listen in. Not that I understand very much because it's in Danish, but it's always fun to see what you're playing. But I haven't been in for a while, so I will have to pop in again at some point. What am I up to? I'm up to Cecconoid, so we're doing the Commodore conversion of Cecconoid. Thank you very much, Amok, for the bits once more. Again, appreciate it. Oh, God, I am struggling with that tonight. And we're just going to do a little bit of optimization around it anyway. Hey, Goblin Prince. I'm all right, thank you. How are you? Cecconoid is... I'll quickly show you now. So Cecconoid is a game that was released on various kind of modern platforms. It released on Steam first, and then I think Switch and mobile. But it's a game which honors kind of the game Cybernoid, basically, by Ralph Cecco. Is it Ralph Cecco? I think it is, yeah. So Gareth made this version on Steam and Android and stuff. Gareth Noyce, I think is Noyce. No need to drink. I will do though. SP always. Raf. That's it. Yeah. Raphael Cecco. Yeah. And we're doing a kind of as close as we can conversion of it. So it was a 1-bit kind of art style, black and white with a little bit of red here and there. And we're just kind of working on this set of screens now, which is a kind of Robotron style screen. But it needs some optimization. For some reason it crashes when I go down here. I'm not sure what that's about. So actually I think we'll take a look at that first, see if we can figure out why it's crashing. So I guess the first step here is to turn the mace off and just make sure it's not the mace doing that. So so I need some more cooling here. So is the original? Yeah, let me show you the original. So you can get an idea how close we are to it. So this is the original. Thank you very much, Anonymous Cheerer, for the bit. Appreciate it. I'm going to be wasted before. Ow. I'm guessing you heard that as well because my desktop sound was up. So apologies for the noise. So this is the original, and let me bring up the game at the same time. Yeah, we're trying to keep it very close. So we've even got like the laser on the top screen. So we just go back. This was a source of pain for a few weeks getting this laser to work properly, which I think we've kind of achieved now. Just rewind it a little bit. So we have a laser. It's not exactly the same, but it's close enough. Oh, there is definitely some weird crashing going on. I think it might be to do with that mace because this was not crashing last time. So should take a quick look at that. I think what it's probably doing when the mace goes off the bottom of the screen, it's actually those move a lot slower than the ones we've got. I think definitely move a lot smoother. That's for sure. But yeah, anyway, we're just trying to keep it as close to that as possible, and just kind of keep it feeling nice and smooth and fast. I want everything to run at 50 frames a second. I don't want any of the updates to be staggered over 2 frames, like we've done in other stuff before. So Pick and Mix has that, for instance, on the enemy updates. They stagger over 2 frames, with the exception of the updates for the Robotron Delta X and Y. They graphically update at 60 frames a second, but their logic is happening staggered, which is one of the optimizations we're working on. But I want all the graphical updates to happen at 50 frames a second, because I think it makes a hell of a difference when things run at that speed. So I'm pretty sure it's this mace. I think if I turn this off, it'll be fine. So it just means I need to fix that at some point. So obviously we can't have quite as many particles and stuff as we do in the original game, but we do still have particles. You can see there they fly around the screen and stuff, which is kind of nice. We still get obviously dying quite a lot as well. We've still got twin stick shooter controls and decals when bullet kind of not decals, kind of like explosion. I've called them decals, but they're more like explosions when they hit the wall. And obviously on these screens we can't use sprites, so these are all characters using kind of half. Oh god, they trap me in as well using half character movement. But I think if I go down here, yeah. So it was the mace. Pretty sure I know what that is with the mace. It should be easy to fix, but for now it's fine. So the reason I want to optimize is because if you look when I'm at the top of the screen, you see the particles that are coming out the back of the ship, the exhaust particles. They are updated kind of straight after all this stuff happens. But that means that if you're right at the top of the screen and this screen update takes too long to be actioned, then you end up with kind of flickery particles from the back. Now, well, that's not a terrible thing, and we can probably get away with that if we have to. I'd like to avoid it where possible. We've got 16 Robotron enemies moving around here, but we still need to add in obviously the death collisions. So if you bump into them, they should kill you, and at the moment they don't. So this would be fine. This would be fine. Then that would be death. I'd be dead now. But also, likewise, we need bullet collision as well. So at the moment, they're not affected by bullet. In fact, I'm stuck in them now because I should be dead. We need to add bullet collision as well. So I've got some ideas to how to make that relatively efficient and very specific to these screens. But I think we need to kind of trim this down as much as possible and see what we can do. So with that in mind, I want to take you through the bit I was thinking about. It's a very, very minor bit, but I think it will have a fairly decent impact. So this copy charge only happens once when you enter the screen. I can't even press the right buttons tonight. Have I got one of those windows open? No, I haven't. Okay. So this doesn't matter. This is all done at the screen load time. Same with add as well. This isn't going to be called either a lot once at the beginning of the screen or individual ones as well. They move 4 pixels at a time now, and they do that by they store. I'll show you here. So they store 4 different flavors, if you like, of the sprite. So if you imagine a character block, there's one version where it's in a single character block like that, one where it's stretched over 2 horizontally, one where it's stretched over 2 vertically, and then one where it's stretched over 4. It's all the same size. It's just where it is in the block, and that allows us to move it 4 pixels at a time without needing sprites. So they can move a bit smoother, but we'd have to use even more characters and take up more of the character set, which I don't want to do because the character set is dynamic. So the character set loads every time you go into a new screen. It's a new character set, and it's built dynamically from the cartridge, depending on what the screen needs. So these have to be copied into memory from somewhere else, and we're kind of limited on how much space we've got on each screen. So I went with 4x4 because it's enough that it feels smoother than simple character animation, but it's not so smooth that it takes up tons and tons of character space. Because to do this over more, we'd need 3 for that way. So half in that way, half in that way. But then we'd need 3 like that as well. But then we'd need loads of in-betweens as well. So we'd need 3. We'd need 9 of these. No. Be 2. So I'm just trying to work out how many extra characters we'd need to do that. So in order to do this over 2 pixels, we need 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Then another 12, 24, then another 12, and then so it'd be 48 plus the original one. So it'd be 49 characters versus the 9 that we have at the moment, which is quite a lot more. So can you use? I wish I could use the raster rewrite buffer. That would be so much easier. Yeah, I've been thinking about that a bit more as well, about doing the book for the Mega 65, but I just don't have the time to do it at the moment. But I may take a chance on doing that next year. I may rope some people in to help me a little bit with that. Just like proofreading stuff and maybe testing out the exercises in there as well. But it's definitely something I want to do, and I think it's a good time to do it. While the machine is kind of new and people are looking for resources, I think it's going to be really helpful. Exercise, not that kind of mental exercise. You're safe, don't worry. If it was real exercise, I wouldn't be doing it. I tell you, I'm so exhausted just walking down to the train station, the tube station, and back. It's 15-minute walk, something like that, and I'm absolutely knackered when I get there. That's how unfit I am at the moment because of the pandemic and not going out. So it's getting a little bit easier. I mean, this is the 5th day I've been into work. No, 4th day I've been into work now. It is getting a little bit easier, but I just need to get a bit more used to it than I am at the moment. That's why dogs are awesome. Yeah. Oh yeah, it's not a mile to this. Well, I don't know actually. It's probably maybe half to 3/4 of a mile, but I'm really, really struggling with it. Like I'm just not I'm just not fit enough to walk it. I used to be able to walk it in 10 minutes easily. And now it's taking me 15-20 minutes. So, and I'm absolutely exhausted when I get there as well. It's really not good at all. Okay, so this is the bit that we're going to do the changing. This is where the slowdown is coming from. Let's just load the screen code in that we've got. So we have screens. I think it's this one. Yes, it's this one because it's got the warning in. So we already do a performance drop. So we drop the particle and the sprite multiplexer count down a little bit, which is fine. That's kind of to be expected. And then we add tons and tons of these in. I do want to also probably on the next stream, if we manage to get this done in time tonight, to go through the memory map a little bit and maybe start moving some of this out into cartridge banks and load it on the fly. So like Robotron doesn't need to be loaded into memory all the time. We can load that in when we need it. Same with the laser as well. There's a few things that could be done like that. And maybe even some of the screen code. If the screen code has persistent data in it, so if there's no screen persistence, like this doesn't have any screen persistence, the persistence is blank. So this technically could be loaded in on the fly, but I need to come up with a system for doing that sort of thing. Actually, it's probably all right. Actually, just trying to think now if there is. Oh no, because we have this persistent warning count. So actually, this couldn't be. But there's stuff we can definitely load in on the fly. So we just need to kind of work on that on the next stream, just to kind of tidy things up a bit and start giving us a bit of freedom to add code. But what was I looking for? Oh yes, so in here somewhere there's an update. Where is it? Yeah, where is it? Where is the Robotron update? Here we go. So we've got these border changes here where we increase the border, increase it. Now what we're going to do is I'm going to do more border increases just so I can see the various colors. So we're going to go to, actually we'll do it after here, like so. And I'm going to put, actually I'm going to do this instead. I'm going to do that. I'm going to move this into here. So we're going to go and set the border to white while we calculate the entity deltas, so we can take a look at how long that takes. And then I'm going to stick this increment here, which is for the loop. Not sure why that is commented out. I'll work that out in a minute. This is a HUD draw thing, so I am going to put this in here. I don't think it's going to take many lines, but I will keep it there. And then we've got the draw function. So the draw function is this one here. And what I'm going to do is on every iteration of the loop, I'm going to... Oh, actually, should I be doing this? No, I'm going to do it here instead. So we should get an idea of the color for the whole thing. But one thing I realized was what I was doing this this weird AND check somewhere. Where was it? Where was it? I thought it was in here. Maybe not. This is the check location. All right, so I need to look at all of this in a minute, actually. Put these jumps in the right places. There was an increment somewhere and an and, I think. Because we had, what did I call it? I forgot what I called it now. Or was it in the clear? No, it wasn't in the clear. Calculate entity data. Oh, was it this one? Maybe it's in this one. Yeah, here we go. So this piece of update here, which is in the calculate entity. Well, let's just have a look at how things are running, and then I'll explain how I can optimize this. It's actually quite simple. Try to remember exactly how now, but I can't. Oh, it wasn't it. Yeah, it wasn't a hue. It was just removing the ad. That was it. Do a 5-mile brisk walk daily. I wish I could do that. I really do. I need. I do need to start upping that because I am worried that I've become so sedentary over the past 18 months that it is probably going to have a really bad effect on my health. I am starting to worry a little bit about it. So I put a lot of weight on. I mean, I'm sure drinking cider isn't helping though. He says while taking another swig. But yeah, just the complete lack of exercise has really not done me good at all. Okay, let's take a look at this screen. So we can see the colors now. And we can see white, red, and cyan is the biggest piece. So let's just take a look at what that actually means in terms of the code. So the initial increment is in here somewhere. Here. So no, not that one. Sorry, this one here. So the white section is this bit. This is the calculate the entity delta. So this is where we actually are spending the least amount of time into, well, not the least, but a very small amount of time, which is this bit here, basically. And this is where we did one of the major optimizations on the last stream, which is where we only update a fraction of the enemies on each frame. And even if I move around, it's not gonna make a huge difference. You can see that staying pretty much solid. And then it's more the draw function than anything else. So that's good. That means we know that this is probably quite efficient. However, one thing I did think of that is more efficient than this. So what we're doing here is we're taking the current index number. So imagine the index number goes from 0 to 31, right? We're taking that, we're adding a group number. So our group goes from 0 to whatever our maximum group is. Update group count. Oh, it's already up there anyway. This value here. So it goes from 0 to that, basically, -1. So let's assume that we update up to 4 groups at a time. That means we're adding this number to this number, and then we're ANDing it with the maximum number here. But actually, all we really need to do here is AND that value directly with this value here. We don't need to do the add here at all. We AND it with the group number here, like so. We don't need to do that at all. And then if that number, we compare that again to the same number. So we AND it with the value and we compare it with the value. Now that should theoretically be a little bit quicker than this, not by much, but it should be a little bit quicker. But have exactly the same effect. So. Bit of Airwolf. And that's not loading up for some reason. Why is that? Oh, because I've still got these bits in here. All right. I'd be terrible as a tutor for things, wouldn't I? In a class, I'd just constantly be trying to draw ASCII art in my IDE to explain stuff. Big whiteboard behind me, and I'd still be writing ASCII art in. Okay, so this should be the same, yeah, and we can see there we are indeed everything is updating, and we've still got about the same. And we can see the red slice is very, very thin indeed. So what is the red slice about? So let's just clear that up. It just makes this a little bit neater, basically. So all we're doing there is we're doing exactly the same AND and comparison, except we're just not adding. We're not adding the value. So before, what we were doing, we were saying, okay, say we're on 1, and the current update group is 2. Then we add these 2 together, which gives us 3, and then we AND that with 3, and that would give us a value of 3. And if the value is equal to 0, then we would do an update instead. So in this case, an update would be, this is our index, and this is our group number here, and that would give us a 0. So we would update. Now, if we do the same again, but instead of adding these 2 values together, we just take the index, which is 1, and we AND it with the group number, which is 3. Hang on, that doesn't work, does it? Because that would give us 1, which means not. Oh, it's just it would update us. It's just staggered differently. That's all. But the same thing would happen. You would still end up with, so this would be AND with the group number. So you take the index number, you AND it with the group number. So basically when this number ANDed with this number equals 0, then you get an update. So if the group number in this case is 3, then it will update. So it's the same frequency of update. It's just slightly, it's updating at a different time. That's all. But it doesn't matter. The order in which, you know, the whichever one starts first really doesn't matter at all. So okay, so we know that's pretty efficient. Let's have a look at where the other thing is coming in. So the other increment was, we did this one, then we increment. So this was just drawing the values at the top of the screen. So these values up here, that's fine. I wasn't expecting that to be a lot at all, but that will be removed. This is just a temporary thing, so we'll leave that in. So this is where the other time comes in. So let's take a look at what's taking its time here. So what I'm going to do instead now is I'm going to set, I'm going to get rid of these because we know these are all right. In fact, I'm going to indent them this way so we can put them back should we need them. And instead what we're going to do is we're going to color this section instead. So Xian Sweeney or Xian Sweeney, thank you very much. Welcome to the stream. Thank you for the follow. I hope you're doing well this fine Thursday evening. I had to think about that. My brain really is not working. Doing Cecconoid, of course it's Thursday. Okay, so we're going to take a look at this section now. So what we'll do is we'll, at the very beginning here, we're going to store specific colors this time. So we're going to store white for the beginning of a loop section. And then whenever we do specific stuff in here, we'll change the color. So, so if we deal with anything inside here, we'll set the color to red. So that means what we're dealing with now is an active. If something is active, it's going to be red, basically. So we'll see that in here, and we'll leave that there until we get out of the restart loop. So there is a restart loop. But actually we've got these check locations as well. Okay, that's fine. So in that case, what we'll do is we'll put the check location stuff. Actually, there isn't really anything going on here either, is there? So I think it's to do with this check location stuff. But I am gonna leave that there. I'm gonna leave that there, and I'm gonna change this to like purple or something. Here, I think. Yeah. Let me indent those back. Just so I can see them. So I know where they are, and it's easy for me to remove them later, but also to update them if I need to, for whatever reason. Oops. Did I just put that back? I did. God damn it. There's a weird bug in Sublime where it doesn't reverse indent properly. It kind of deletes, and you have to put them back again. Okay, so I'm gonna do it here as well. Let's do it like that. It's quicker. Okay, so we set the border to white. If the enemy is active, then we, in other words, if it's visible, we set the border to red. Then just before we do the check location stuff, oh, pardon me, we set the border to purple, so we'll get to see how slow the check location routine is, and then that's kind of it. And then we're in here, and everything else in here is just doing something and then returning. So let's check that out. It could just be that there's so many that it's taking that much time. And also there is the concept of restarting the check again. So what we might see is multiple red purples without a white. So we see lots of red purple without a white band between them, then we know that it's the recheck is taking too long. But we should be able to dissect that in a second. So let's take a look. Okay, so the interesting thing here is it does look like the majority of it is purple. It's very hard to see anything that's going on here. So let me try and pause. Nope. Let's pause. Now is it Alt P? There we go. Yeah. So you can see here we let's look at the very first one, right? So we see a white band, then we see a red band, which is actually quite big. Then we have purple. Oh, and then it drops into white again. So actually, it is just a matter of the red and the purple being quite big. At the end here, we do have quite a large red section, which I'm guessing is the refresh, maybe? No, because it would have purple in it as well. This is probably something else interrupting here and delaying, because this isn't done on an interrupt. So this is probably an actual interrupt which has delayed the result of this. So if we can finish before that, that would be the best, because we're wasting like 2 lines or so here. So let's try and reduce that red and purple section down. It looks like I want to say that the red is actually. Can I zoom in on that? No, I can make it bigger, kind of. So the red is about 2 lines. The purple is actually the red is more than the purple in this case. Okay. Okay, so let's take a look. So the red section is this bit here. So what is it actually doing? Okay, so we're fetching a screen address. Now, do we need to fetch this every frame, or can we preserve this somehow? So what do? We get the character Y and we work out a screen address. Okay, now this... Wait, we store that at YPOS, which is here. We saw that as screen low and screen high. Okay, but we only need to do that if the position has changed. So maybe that's one thing we can do here. We can avoid doing all of this if these values have not changed. So only if these values are different than they were before should we need to do this. Now we know that calculate entity... Actually, no. Where do we actually update that? Let me find out where we update that. Because maybe we can just push it off onto a slightly more efficient function. So I'm looking for a store on these values. Okay, so there's a store here, but this is restoring the old value. That's fine. Here we go. Yeah, so update entity position. Okay, where's this actually being called from? Well, it's not gonna. That's not going to take that much to do, but I'm intrigued as to where that's being called from. So, okay, that's called from calculate entity delta, which we know already is pretty efficient anyway. And everything will update. So even if it doesn't have its actual delta calculated, we know that this is actually triggered. So what we could do here instead is we could say, okay, we're going to take that value, we're going to add it, and then we're going to do a comparison here to this value. And what we'll do is, actually, let me just check if I can use, where's that being called from? Here. Can we use Y in here? Is Y being used anywhere? It doesn't look like it is. It's not, is it? Great. Oh, no, it's been used there. But we're only using it for this jump. That's fine, actually. A bit, yeah. Okay, cool. We can use Y. All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to set Y to 0. And this is going to be whether or not we've changed a value or not. So what we'll do is we'll compare it. If the values are the same, then we don't need to store. We're just going to jump ahead. However, we do need to store. We're going to increase Y and then store. So all we're doing is we're adding these 3 extra commands in, which shouldn't be a massive burden. The compare is going to be about 5 cycles. This is going to be, if we take the branch through this piece of code, it's only going to be 2. and this is going to be 2 as well. So that'd be 9 cycles. So we'd be using 18 extra cycles, worst case scenario, which is going to be here like that, and this would be char y. Okay, and then what we'll do is before we return, store y at data dot like that. And then what this is going to allow us to do is only process, like draw updates for things that have actually changed. If they haven't changed, then we don't need to process anything. Likewise, we can do the same with the clearing as well. So if it hasn't updated, then we don't need to clear it. We'll just leave it where it is. It only needs to clear if we update. So we'll put this in here. And by default, these will start at 0. So let's just run that again. So what we should see now is that the initial chunk at the beginning will be slightly bigger. Actually, we're not going to see it because the colors are wrong at the moment. Hang on, let me fix this one here. So this calculate entity data here is going to be wrong. Which is just the white section, and then it's going to go into, actually it's going to show white again here, but we should see the size of the white be slightly different. Is that not loading? Oh, store y, damn it. All right, can't do store y, x. You can on the Mega 65, god damn it. That's fine though. All we need to do is that. And by using increase y, we don't really care if this. All we care is if it's 0, then it means it didn't update, and that means it's easy for us to skip over it. We can just do a branch if equal, and we'll skip over it. Anything other than or a branch if not equal to use, the code. We don't care if it's 1 or 2. We don't care if if just x or just y or both. As long as either of them, then it'll be fine. Patience is the major factor in. Yes, it really is, to be honest. You have to. Takes a lot of patience to do what you're doing. Yes, thank you. You do have to kind of persevere sometimes. I was having a conversation today actually with a colleague at work about code complexity and optimizing too early. And I was kind of saying, well, it's kind of strange with assembly because you don't really have the concept of methods as such. I mean, you do have blocks of code which you jump to and jump back from, and you can kind of reduce the code complexity of the code that lives between an entry point and an RTS. But it really doesn't matter that much because it's not about. It's still going to be just as readable if you split it into 20 different functions as it would be if you piled it all into one. It's not going to make a huge amount of difference on like a higher level language. And optimizing is one of those things with assembly that it's very situational. Sometimes you need to optimize up front. It's no point writing a very, very inefficient function first when you may as well just spend an extra 5 minutes and write it more efficiently. In terms of readability, you're not gonna lose a lot by doing the optimization too much up front. But then there's times which are very situational. So for instance, this screen is something that had a lot of code going on in it. So it was easier just to get it all out and working and then optimize it later, which is what we're doing now. But we do need to optimize it because we're limited to how much time we have on a frame. So, okay, so you can see there, we haven't increased an awful lot here. But now we have this extra property that we can use. So what we're going to do is we're going to go to the clear routine. And this time what we're going to do, we already do a check. Actually, do we do a check? It doesn't look like we do actually. Clear based on... Oh, where's the loop here? There should be... it's just clearing an individual one here. Okay. Yeah, there's the clear here. Okay. Yeah, okay. So we don't need to do this clear if the item has not updated. So that's the first thing to do. So we're just going to copy. Actually, it's probably not that. It's probably more like that. Put a little note in to say what we're doing. Don't clear if the item has not updated. So what this also means is if position has updated, that's also going to include killing it. If you kill the enemy, you have updated its position. You've removed it off the screen. You've moved it from being on screen to being off screen. So we will have to set that flag when we kill something so that it does get properly cleared from the screen. We'll set that flag, and we'll also set the type to say that it's in. Oh, actually, it's a tricky one actually, because we need to clear it, but we also need to process it in here. So we might just have to clear it ourselves. Actually, we might have to call this manually. I'll have a think about that. But it's going to be one to think about because this is going to jump over it, because we need to also set it to inactive so it doesn't get rendered. So either we need to set the inactivity flag after we've cleared it, or we need to, in this function, or we need to clear it up front. So as soon as you kill it, you clear it straight away. You set all the data and you clear it from the screen, which is probably what we'll have to do actually, because it will need an explosion. So it probably will have to be cleared from the screen. Okay, so we're going to did update position. If the position did update, then we need to do clear. So this will be if it didn't update. So if it's equal to 0, then we don't clear and we come to here. Okay, so that's the first thing. So let's just do a quick test, make sure this still works, because we might be seeing bugs now. I think we should be all right, but let's take a look. Coming up on the screen multiplexer, so we've got stage. Okay, so you're using kind of zone multiplexer instead of full screen. To be honest, sometimes that's better because you can get the timings tighter anyway. Oh, that's interesting. Oh no, Acmefin discovered. Oh wait, how did you do that? I'm not sure how that worked. I'm really not sure how that worked. Oh, you redeemed. Okay. I thought you confused me then. You really, really confused me then. Don't do that to me, Acmefin. It's because you said, didn't I say Tony? And then that confused me really. Yeah. Yeah. You're a confusing human being, Acmefin. Okay, cool. So it doesn't seem to have had any effect. And of course it shouldn't do, right? If a character has been drawn to the screen and it doesn't change between frames, then we don't need to clear it. There's no point in clearing it. So that's all we're doing. We're saying don't clear it. I was thinking there might be, so there was a bug in, it's probably what happened in this because we're not scrolling the screen. But there's a bug in Turrican on the C64, both Turrican 1 and 2 actually, where it uses a similar system for kind of clearing and updating entities for bullets on the screen. But if you scroll the screen in just the right way, you can get those bullets to persist on the screen. So even though the entity's been cleared from memory, the actual thing has not been cleared properly from the screen. So it stays on screen, and you can kind of scroll it around the screen. As soon as it goes off screen, it disappears. You don't get it back. But yeah, I need to figure out the joke bot as well. Turrican's a really, if you do want, I should probably maybe do a dissection on that at some point, because it's a really, really interesting scroller the way it's been done. Because it does have to deal with quite a lot. It has to deal with like scrolling bullets around and things like that. And it sounds like an easy thing to do, but if you just splatted a load of bullets on the screen and they were static and they didn't move, then that's fine. You can scroll the screen because all you're doing is shifting those memory contents. But what they have to do is they have to, as well as kind of making sure that they scroll the screen, they have to remove them and redraw them every frame as well, so they can advance across the screen. But they need to maintain their position. So if you scroll the screen, if you start moving down the screen, then their position needs to move. You know, if you move down the map, the position of the bullets needs to move up as well. So there needs to be some additional movement in there. It's the same with any game with character bullets that scrolls kind of vertically as well. It's less important kind of side to side because your bullets tend to move in that direction anyway. So if you kind of scroll, you don't really need to advance the bullets forward or backwards, but up and down you definitely do. Otherwise, what you get is you get a stream of bullets that stays level with you, despite the screen moving up and down. Yeah, tell me about it. Yeah, it's not an easy thing. Multi-directional scrolling is not an easy thing. The two things I think are the most complicated. Once you get over the fact that you know, whatever flavor of scroller you use, whether it be AGSP for the speed, or you do some kind of trickery with unroll loops as well to get kind of full color scrolling. Or even if you use, regardless of what you use, whether it's just high res single color or tile based color, or multicolor but the same color as well, it doesn't matter which one of those you use. That's once you get past that bit. The tricky parts of this too. One is handling character bullets. Let's say when you move vertically, handling character bullets is a pain in the ass because you have to move it with the screen as well. Hey Cosmin, welcome to the stream. Cheers, my man. And the other one is enemies as well. So you need to be able to quickly realize when you need to spawn enemies, which in itself is a tricky thing because say you've got a big level and you've got, I don't know, 500 enemies there. You now need to check 500 enemies to see which ones should be spawning on the screen. So there's a few little tricks you can do with that. You can assign them to zones. So you can say, okay, this is zone 1. Whenever the scroller is at this position, I'm only going to check. I'm only going to check the sprites in the enemies in zone 1 to see if they should be spawning. But and then you can stagger them out, you see, over a few frames. But it is awkward to do. But then you've also got to move the enemies with the frames as well. So as well as animating the enemies with whatever movement animation they're using, you need to make sure that they move with the scroll, and that can be really hard to do without lag. So what you will see in a lot of games, and Turrican is another example of this as well. It happens in Turrican on the shoot 'em up levels. Sometimes you will see the map move, and then the enemies kind of lag behind by a frame. They'll just be out by one frame, and it's enough to just kind of make it look a bit difficult, a bit kind of not difficult, a bit kind of messy. So it is a tricky thing to do. Very satisfying when you do it though, but it does take a lot. I spent weeks getting it right on .cosmos 2, and it still isn't perfect as well. So, but anyway. I should share that scroller at some point. It's quite a good scroller, but I'd rather finish the game first if that ever happens. Okay, so we know that the clear is working, so we're only updating on the clear. So let's copy that and do .cosmos 2. The scroller is a very, very nice scroller. Very, very I think it's 20 lines of full color. Oh yeah. 20 lines of full color scrolling. So there's no tile based scrolling. It's full color scrolling, with parallax as well, and with animated tiles as well, and with the ability to pick up tiles as well. So you can create tiles that are collectible. So you can create a tile for a map that when you walk over it, it will collect and it will leave behind another tile. So you say, here's a tile, and here's the tile that replaces it when you pick it up. So that's kind of cool. Plus you've got enemies as well as traps as well. So you've got like spikes that come up and down out of the ground and boulders that roll across the floor and stuff. And the ability to pause it and rewind it as well, and it remember where you were and when it rewinds. What else has it got in it? I'm not making it up. This is all I probably can't run it now actually, but I'd need to check what's there. But yeah, it's all working out. It's got enemies that scroll with it as well, and a multiplexer. It's hard work anyway. Hunchback is 20 lines scroll. Are you using full color scroll, or are you doing tile based color, or I'm not sure what you're using? Because the common trick that I've seen most people do is to use tile based color scrolling. So you sacrifice a tiny bit. It's really not a huge sacrifice either. You sacrifice a tiny bit of color detail, and in return, you only have to scroll a quarter of the color ramp that you normally scroll. A quarter if you're doing left and right, up to a half if you're doing four-way scrolling. Chart-based color, not tile. Yeah, it's. I mean, it's the harder one to do. Definitely, definitely the harder one to do. But if you unroll the loops and you time it right, you can just about get 20 lines, 20 lines out of it. If you use VSP, you can get 24 lines, but and almost no time to process. But it's not easy to do that and kind of. Actually, no, it is kind of easy to do it, but it's the problem with the VSP stuff is you have other limitations like the sprite not being able to go off the top of the screen and stuff like that, which is a bit. Is Sam's Journey the ultimate example of scroll? I really do like the Sam's Journey scroller. It's actually quite. It's similar in the way it works to the Turrican scroller, but they use some trickery to smooth it out. So they've got inertia on it, but the way that the inertia works means that they're never actually scrolling. They're never actually changing the data for both directions at the same. I think I've discussed this before. Like if you're going to scroll diagonally, then offset horizontally by 4 pixels. So if you're scrolling 2 pixels at a time in both X and Y diagonally, then you're going to have one frame of nothing, one frame where the horizontal gets updated, one frame of nothing, one frame where the vertical gets updated. You never update in horizontal and vertical at the same time. And they use that to very great effect in Sam's Journey. I'm not sure if Sam's Journey is tile or char-based color, actually. I need to look at that, actually. I'm not entirely sure. They also use a dynamic multiplex as well, so I'm pretty sure they update the multiplexer depending on where you are, like we're doing with this, but they do it in a scrolling way as well. So okay, right, getting distracted. Let's have a look. So the draw routine is, where is the draw routine? The draw routine is here. Okay, so what we need to do is only draw if the update position, if the position has been updated. So this time I'm going to say branch if not equal. So let's put that there. So, and we're going to say only redraw if position was updated. Otherwise, what we need to do, we need to skip this redraw completely, which is grabbing this char address, which is working out what we need to draw. And then jumps to draw it. It checks the location. We don't need to do any of this. We can basically skip the whole thing. In fact, yeah, we skip straight ahead to skip 1 here. We don't need to record the old values. It's still the same values, so nothing changes. All we are literally doing is saying we don't need to draw, so you can skip all this crap. So it's the same as this, basically. Okay, so this should run again, but hopefully now it should be way less updates. At least when things aren't moving. When things are moving, it will update more, obviously. But when things aren't moving, oh, actually, I think there might be a slight issue here, which we'll see in a minute. I think this is going to have an issue. Well, I mean, one issue is that they're not drawing. Now that's because the char x and the char y. Okay, so did update position needs to be 1. We need to initialize them with 1. But the other thing here as well is that the update position should also include whether or not. So at the moment we're just saying, okay, it's at this position. Don't need to update. But it might be that it's spread out over 4. So a char position of, say, let's say this is at 5,5, right? It's still at 5,5 if it's that. It's still at 5,5 if it's that, and it's still at 5,5 if it's that. It's just what draws. So actually the clear doesn't need to do anything, but the draw might need to do something. So we also need to record what the previous type was and compare that. And if the previous type is the same, then we don't need to do something. All right. I'm going to take a quick break because I really need to rush to the toilet, but when we come back, that's what I'll do. So basically what we need to do is at the beginning of here, where is it? At the beginning of here, it isn't enough to just check this. If we did update the position, then yes, we need to immediately jump to here, but then we also need to do check old type versus new type. If same, skip. So at this point, we're saying, okay, we might need to skip here because we're in the same position. But is the thing that we're about to draw the same type as what it was before? In other words, is it still 1 by 1 or is it still 2 by 1? If it is the same type, then we can skip. Otherwise, we need to redraw. Okay. Hey, Mindrail. Good morning, at least for a few minutes. Busy time in the morning if you wish I could hang out. Oh, I'm sorry, man. What time is it there? What time? You Australia as well? I forget where everybody's from. I'm assuming so because it's it would be the only place I could think of that would be morning. So it's 7. Yeah. Okay. So yeah, Australia. Cool. You're all crazy, you Australians. You get up early and watch me. What's wrong with you? All right, I'll be 2 minutes. I'm just gonna go have a quick pee. I shall be back very, very shortly. Let me find the quizzes. There it is. Let's make sure it's not going to automatically turn on. It's not. Hey, Deft, you catch me just as I'm about to run off to the toilet, so I'll be back in a minute. Be right back. Right, I'm back. Yes, welcome along, Deft. Sorry, I had to run off. All right. What was I doing? Oh, yeah. So first of all, when we add something in here, we also need to make sure that we reset. Well, not reset. We need to say that we need to update its position, or otherwise it won't get drawn because its update is going to say 0. So straight away we need to update its position. So when we add the item, which is here, and we set all these values in here for char x and char y, also going to store a value in here as well. Just be 1. That's fine. I mean, we could probably just store the value from here because this is unlikely to be 0. In fact, it can't possibly be 0. So yeah, let's just do that. I don't think we need that. I'll comment it out, but I don't think we need that. Because as I say, anything that's non-0 means it will update, and this will never be 0. It's 0 would be in the HUD at the top, and it's not going to be in the HUD. So I think that's fine. The only other thing we need to do is we need to store the old type as well. So we do store the old char x and the old char y. I'm going to create a copy of this line here and just call it old type. And that will go all the way down wherever we do this store old. I just think it's here somewhere. No, that's the calculate entity data, isn't it? It's not that one. There it is. Cool. So now we store the old type as well. So now all we need to do is in the draw function, the top somewhere. Here, we're going to grab that position old type X, and we're going to compare that to type comma X. And if they're not the same, so if it's not equal, in other words, these two values are different, then we're going to just jump ahead, otherwise we'll skip. That should be enough. We should see a big difference here, I think. Oh, wow. Wow, Def, that is a mega cheer. I will, I will drink a good sip of this. Thank you very much, Def. Speaking of which, I have Saturday's prize. Saturday's winning prize here. It's got my address on, so I won't show the other side, but although I'm sure half of you know my address by now because it's probably on half of the parcels I send out to you lot. So, but anyway, cheers, Def. Thank you very much. All goes towards buying those prezzies for you lot. Right, let's have a look. Let's see if this is working. So we should see the same stuff we were before, but when things stop, it should do less. Well, it doesn't seem to be doing less. It seems to be doing the same amount, actually. If anything, it's a little bit more. Okay, that's interesting. So we're not seeing... Because you would expect this now, all of these to be, okay, we can't move. Oh, actually, it needs to... They can't move, but they want to move. That's the thing. So the new position is being updated, but because there's something there, it's being reset. So actually, it's not helping really at all here. If anything, it's slowed things down. So just earned the 25k bits badge. Nice. It's currently ripping Mrs. OSK musical films DVD. Ooh. Ooh. I've probably mentioned this before, but I'm a massive fan of musicals. And that's something which makes me slightly excited, to be honest with you. Because there's a lot of musical films that I mean, there's a lot of musical films I'm not interested in. So, like the oh god, what's it called? Is it Step Up or something like that? But if it's things like, and I'm really showing kind of how slightly nerdy to musicals I'm here, but something like I don't know, Oklahoma, or even newer stuff like Moulin Rouge or Bodyguard. Absolutely love Bodyguard. He said slightly nerdy. All right, very very musically nerdy. Yeah. Oh yes, please. That would be awesome. Yeah, I'd love that. Man, yeah, if you want to do that, I'm really I'd be really happy to get that from you. Yeah, that would be cool. I tell you one I haven't seen. I've been dying to see, and I still haven't seen it. Which is La La Land, and I do want to see it. It's been on my kind of radar for a while. I've just not had the time once to do it. Good. What you mean, La La Land? Yeah, I've been told it's very good. It was really well received, wasn't it? Really, really well reviewed and stuff. So actually, this is not helping us, and the reason this isn't helping us is because actually, even though the position has updated, we don't actually know it's updated until we go through this check location stuff. And then if that check location comes back, then we go ahead and we reset these values here. Actually, is it because what I need to do is also need to do this? That might be what it is, actually. Let's give that a try first before I claim it's not worked. Gentlemen prefer blondes. Yeah, I've seen that one. But it's also some of the kind of more the kind of late 70s, early 80s stuff as well. I kind of like all the early 70s, 80s stuff. So like Rocky Horror Picture Show, Little Shop of Horrors, things like that. Hairspray. Initech. There you go. Actually, that's probably my favorite era for musicals. That kind of is the Wizard of Oz. Yeah, the Wizard of Oz is I would class that as a musical. Yeah, but there is a better one as well. I think it's just called The Wiz, which is just something incredible. You have to watch it. There we go. That's much better. Okay, so now you see when they stop now, it's taking less time up. So now we're getting, but now they're bumping into each other. So that's not good. However, no, actually, that's not going to work, is it? Oh, no, they are piling up on each other, but they're kind of moving into each other eventually as well. So there is a little bit of update, but they're only doing it once they reach me. So if they don't reach me, then they're piling up on each other. But if they reach me, I'd be dead anyway. So at that point, it would pause anyway. So actually, I think this is probably all right. Yeah, I think this is maybe all right. Let's go with that for now. I mean, there is a little bit of this overlap, but it's because it's where I was. If I move away, they stop overlapping. You see, they only overlap once they hit me. Once they hit me, for some reason, they start overlapping. I don't know what that's about. But as I say, at that point, I'd be dead anyway. So I think that's fine. And you can see the worst case scenario is when everything is moving. So we still need to do a little bit of work here. So let's try and work out what that might be. Let's just leave that as it is for now. We can always come back and change that should we need to. We can, I mean, just by removing this check here, we get rid of that. So let's just test that theory. If I just comment that out, does it stop doing that? I mean, it'll stop with the optimization, but it should also stop the overlap as well. You get stuff for liking music. Why do you think I moved? That's why I moved down south. Rocky Horror Picture Show is awesome. One of my favorites. Been to see that as well. A very cool experience. Oh no, they're still piling into each other. So the positional update thing is okay. So it's not that's doing it. Then it's something else. Let's figure out what it is, because I don't want to move away from that until we've got that working. So let's move that to here instead. So we do the type checks first. And it could be because we're doing some repeat kind of checks, the restart check. Yeah, see, that's fixed it now. Oh, has it? No, it hasn't. They're all still piling into me as well. Okay, but if I remove all of this, I just want to make sure I can revert this change if I need to. So okay, yeah. Okay, so the price to pay for this optimization is, for some reason, when they reach me, they start overlapping, which is slightly frustrating, but we can maybe live with that for now. However, I am going to leave this commented out, and I'm just going to try and optimize the rest first. So looking at this, we can see these red and purple areas we need to try and optimize. Ignoring this one here, this is obviously on a raster interrupt, which is why it's being stretched like that. But let's see if we can shorten these reds. So what we're trying to do now is make the white bars appear closer together. So we'll leave that commented out for now. We'll come back to that, and we can turn that on again if we want to. Let's just move these checks into. Actually, that was in the right place. It was the other one that wasn't in the right place. That one. Like that. There we go. Okay, so here's the red check. Okay, so what do? We take char y, x, we shift it twice. And then we do some more shift, and then we add a value. And then we store that value in screen low, and we store that value in screen high. Okay, so is there a way for us to not have to calculate this every frame? That would be a nice thing to have to do, to be able to do here. Well, one way we can definitely do that is with this thing here. So if we just move that into here, although that's kind of what that is doing anyway, but let's just try and reduce it just by doing this. So because if the position hasn't updated, then screen high and screen low will be already kind of set. So we'll put skip screen fetch here, I think. So that would be one thing that we can do to change it. Because we don't need to calculate this again. If it's already been calculated, there's no need to do it a second time. And actually, that would kind of go with this one here. So if even if the types were different and but the positions were the same, then we would still update this. We could skip the screen update. Does mean we'd need to move this down to here like so, because this is actually, if we skip this, we still need to set this high vector here, which is actually it's in 0 page, but it doesn't matter that it's in 0 page, it'll still be the same. Okay, so what else are we doing here that's kind of inefficient? Okay, so we're doing some comparisons here. Is there a way we can avoid these comparisons? Okay, so we get the draw type. What's going to be the most common draw type? I guess it doesn't really matter, does it? We're still going to be, well, everything's got an equal chance, but I guess this is going to be the most likely because this is going to happen. There's going to be 2 cases where this happens. There's only 1 case where these happen here, but they're all equally likely. So if we move this one, what do we get? Okay, so what we get is actually if it's less than 3, no. If it's so, hang on. This is if it's 0. No, this is not right. Is it? Hang on. Okay, we can do this instead. So we do branch if equal size 1 plus 1, because if this is 0, it equals 1 by 1. And what this is doing is saying, well, if it's not 0 and it's not any of these, then the end result must be 2 by 2. We can also jump directly to these check locations if they're close enough. They might not be, but we might be able to get away with that. So we could skip doing this jump, which would save us 3 cycles as well. So let's try that. Let's just put that in here and see if that compiles, and then see if it runs all right. Okay, so it compiles, so that jump is close enough. Yeah, office space, yeah. Okay, right. Let's move into here. Let's see what we got now. Okay, so it's moving exactly the same. It doesn't feel massively different. I think it is slightly smaller. It doesn't feel too much different, but I think we're making some kind of inroads here. So that means we can get rid of this because we no longer need that there, which means I can probably replace these as well. Let's see if these jumps are... this is a jump actually. So this, we can jump directly to it because we were jumping to here and then jumping to check 1 by 2. So let's leave that in there like that. Actually, don't need to put the notes in there, so I can get rid of that as well. So we're actually optimizing the code by making it a bit smaller here as well, which is good. I'm kind of looking forward to see what you guys come up with for the challenge. I haven't looked at any of them. I haven't tested any of those entries yet. So I have no idea what you guys have done, or if it works. I will test everything before the stream, so just be prepared on Saturday for a message from me a couple of hours before the stream, just in case something doesn't work. I will check everything works, to give you a chance to make some last minute changes if you want to. I don't foresee any problems, but so there are 13 entries so far. 11 different people have entered. There are 3 basic and 10 ASM entries. And my words of encouragement to you all were at the beginning of the stream was there's at least one entry that is one or more that is 50 bytes PRG or less. Sorry, less than 50. Yeah, there's at least one entry that's less than 50, and there's at least one basic entry that is less than 100. So just some words of kind of encouragement, or really just kind of teasing you to make you go and do more stuff, really. Okay, cool. Let's try that out. So that gets rid of a few of the jumps now. I'm definitely picking, when I give these values, I'm picking stuff at the high end here as well. I'd say there's at least one, but there could be more. I don't want to give you the exact numbers, but I picked kind of nice, kind of round numbers where these things are. Okay, cool. So that's all working exactly the same as before, but now we're using we've got less jumps going on, so that's good. Okay, so let's have a look. Can we do anything more with these? So we compare with one. Okay, no, not really, because we do need to compare against these values. I guess the other thing we could maybe do here is use a jump table, but honestly, for the handful of cycles it would save, I don't think it's going to be that useful. Just trying to think how useful that would be. Actually, I don't think it would be. I honestly don't think it would save very much. It might save stuff for this one here, but for these ones, for specific this one, it wouldn't. So I think what you would save here, you would lose on this one. So I don't think it's fully worth it. I wish there was a way I could work this kind of the frequency of these values, but I think generally they should all be equal. But definitely it makes sense to do this one first because we don't need to do a comparison, so that's kind of good. Okay, so where was the red bit? The red bit was here, wasn't it? Okay, and we saw that the red bit was oh, is this an old... I think that's an old build. Hang on. Yeah, because that's got the yeah, okay. Also, bear in mind as well that with these entries, I've not told you how many are under 50. Could just be one, and there is quite a few people that have already won this. So that doesn't mean that the winning entry will be under 50. The winning entry could be more than 50. So just bear that in mind when you're entering. Don't be put off by the fact that you can't reach 50 for any reason. In the grand scheme of things, it could mean nothing. I'm just saying that there are entries, entry or entries below 50. I have 42 then. 42 is a good number. Okay, cool. So yeah, so what we're looking at here, let's give this a pause again. I feel like we're making a bit of progress, not as quite as much as I'd want, but yeah, so it looks like the red line is still, actually the red and the purple are rough. Actually no, the red's a bit less actually, I think. Looking at that, it's hard to tell actually. I can't tell if it's 1 or 2 lines there. I think it's 2 because it looks like it's, yeah, look, there's red underneath this white line. So actually the red is more than the purple. Okay. So that means this section here, before it gets down to here, is slow. But why? So what are we actually doing here? Okay, so we're doing a load of kind of comparisons. All right, so there's a clear carry bit here. Do we need that? Yes, we do need that, don't we? Because we're doing some shifting here, so we can't guarantee that this carry will be clear at this point. So we do need that. Okay. Okay, we've got table, screen rows. So the indexed address in here is kind of what's screwing us up a little bit. The only way around that would be to unroll this entire loop, and that, while that would save us a lot, look at how much is there. It would be really, really messy to unroll that. The amount of stuff it would use would be unbelievable. Yeah, that's a good point actually, Scum. It's a very good point. It does make it harder. Let's put yellow in there. Actually, let's do blue so it stands out from the white as well. Very, very good point. Good lateral thinking there. So tired. It's because I went to sleep last night. Well, I went to bed last night, maybe 10:30, 11 o'clock, something like that, because I have to be up at like 7:30. And I just lay in bed thinking I've got to be up at 7:30, and that just made me. Yeah, I'll give you 5 AMK points for that. It's fine. I can't do 2, unfortunately, but yeah, I think that's worth a few. Oh, where did that go? There we go. There we go. Yeah, and that just kept me awake till it must have been 5 in the morning or something like that. So I ended up getting up late. I got up at like 8, well, just before 8 o'clock, and had nowhere near enough sleep. So yeah, so it looks like I still think the red sections are bigger than the blue. Not by much, but they do cover an extra line. Oh, actually, no, it looks like the blue lines are actually long as well, aren't they? Okay. So it's like 1.5 lines for blue, and then almost 2 for red. So the reds are still bigger. Okay, is there a way of avoiding this? So we need to. Wait, this is the red bit, isn't it? Yeah. Okay. We need to do the shifting because we need to reduce these char X and char Ys down. We could store these pre-rolled, if you like, but I don't think that's going to make much difference if we do it here or we do it in another routine. It's really, whether we do it here or we do it in another routine isn't going to make any difference. We're just going to waste memory to do that. So that kind of can't change. I need to have a think about how to do this, but I don't think there's an awful lot. Current news events. So that puts us down to this area then, where think. Well, actually, this whole. Well, no, it's here, isn't it? Yeah. We need to grab the draw type. That's necessary in order to be able to, which is this bit here, in order to be able to do all of this. Store the draw type for later. Okay, so the draw type stored in there. Okay, so it's not going to help either. Okay, let's see if we can change the blue then. So this is the blue section, and we have these returns, and then we have the checks themselves. So these are the check locations. So this is probably a good position for doing these things. Okay, so what do? We check. Oh, hang on. Oh, we do a check here to see if we've updated. So that's interesting. So let's have a look. So if these values aren't equal, we jump to here. If these values, okay, cool, right. So I'm just going to comment that section out, and instead, what we're going to use is we're going to use the like that, and that's going to reduce that overhead there, which is actually quite a bit. I mean, it's not an insignificant number of cycles that we save there. 20. Worst case scenario is that it doesn't take this one, but it does take this one. So 25 cycles, as opposed to worst case scenario 8 cycles. So 17 cycles saved there. Because we're already doing that check somewhere else, we don't need to do it here as well. Okay, so that's good. That's going to reduce. I mean, 17 cycles is not an insignificant amount, especially on a bad line. And remember, every 8 lines, we're going to hit a bad line. So every 8 lines, we're losing performance just because. Actually, there are no bad lines because we're in the border. So, but still, 17. Every time you check 4, you've lost a line. Well, just more than a line, actually. Okay, that's good. And this is restoring, and then it also jumps back as well. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put this in here to set the border to green at this point. So if we see any green in the thing, that means we're doing this restart thing, which means we're updating again at some point. So one way to do this might be to not do any restart, not to redraw at all. But just to leave it where it is for this frame until something ahead of it is updated. That might be a bit of free performance there, depending on how often we see this green. If we see this green a lot, then we know that we probably need to do that small update. Okay, I've actually finished one side, so I'm quite pleased with myself that I'll start on the second one. So I was having to think as well about the Mega 65 kart racer. Okay, yeah, so there's a lot of green there actually. We seem to be failing here for some reason, so I'm wondering if this is not quite right. Good update position. Okay, I want to. Actually, I'm not going to undo. I'm just going to comment out because I have a funny feeling that can work, but for some reason it's not at the moment. I need to figure out why that is. Yeah, it's having to think about the Mega 65 kart racer and some of the distortion, because I'm still not happy with the track distortion. And I want to do a little test at the weekend, which is I'm going to stretch the borders out again so we can see the kind of the rough edges. And then I want to face kind of diagonally across the map, find a place where the distortion is quite bad. But I'm definitely facing diagonal, so both X and Y update when I move. And I want to see if, as I move backwards and forwards, does the shape of that edge change? Thank you very much, Doctor, for the bits. Appreciate it. Because if the shape of that edge doesn't, in other words, if the offsets don't change, then that could actually be fixed with a table. And if you fix it with a table, it would be absolutely perfect. It would match up absolutely perfectly. However, the table would be huge. But there's nothing to say we couldn't use Atticgram for that table. So we could generate the table, store it in Atticgram, or even just, I don't even know how we'd generate it, but it could be done, I think. But only if the shape doesn't change as you move diagonally. Because it could be as you move diagonally that those offsets change, because I think they're based on whether or not a line starts on a fractional pixel or not. And if that's the case, then it's not going to make any difference. But if it does work, then we can make these tables, and we can make sure that whichever direction you're facing in, it grabs a table of shift values for every line that it draws on the screen, and just shifts them accordingly. The table would be huge. I mean, we're talking 16 kilobytes or so. It would be a massive table. I would have to find a way to do it, to generate it programmatically. I'm not sure how we would do that, but if we could do it, the distortion would just disappear completely. So that would be on the Mega 65, not on this, unfortunately. God, I wish we did have Atticram. Although we have cartridge ROM, which is also useful. I mean, we're using the cartridge to our advantage in this as well. So okay, so that obviously didn't work. But one thing I noticed is there isn't much green in here at all. In fact, there's tiny bits here and there. So in terms of restarts, there's like 1, 2, 3 restarts here, which means they triggers the red again. However, there are restarts, so they do exist. So let's see if we can get rid of those. And the way we'll do this is, what we'll do is, instead of when we get to here, jump into draw restart check, we will jump to, actually, where is this no check? No, we will jump to skip 1, which means we won't redraw. We'll do it here. We won't redraw, we'll just skip drawing for this frame until it updates, because you notice it isn't every single sprite, so it might actually save us a handful of lines basically by doing that. So spare RAM chips in the loft, yeah. Atticgram, yeah. I need to sort through my RAM chips as well. I kind of accidentally put them all together, and I think I've got some broken ones in there, which is not great. I need to sort through them. It's going to take a little bit of time. Unknown symbol skip. Okay, so I need to. Is that scoped or something? Oh yeah, it's scoped outside of this, isn't it? All right. Let's put this as skip draw. I'll call it. I'm going to keep that in there because it's already being used in a few places. It's fine to use multiple labels like that. I mean, well, I say fine. It's not ideal, but okay. I have seen somebody posted a chip testing circuit that I should try and get hold of it and build it. It's probably quite easy to build as well. I also got logic probes as well, which I could probably do with if I put them on bread, but I could probably build a breadboard circuit to do it. But I've probably got about 14464 chips, and probably about the same in 4164, and I don't know which ones are working, which ones are not, because they're not. None of them are new chips. They're all been extracted from machines and stuff. So or yeah, a test computer and a harness. But I know there's going to be an easier way of doing it. I'm absolutely convinced there's going to be an easier way. Okay, so now we get a shimmer, and we do get some moving through each other. Yeah, so that's not good, and it actually hasn't changed very much either. So let's restore that. Let's do that then. Okay. So let's have a look at why this isn't working. Okay, so if these values don't match, if the current char position does not match the old char position, so this is the updated char position. If it's not the same, then it's jumping to here and it's doing a redraw. However, if it is the same, it's going straight to draw return one by one, wherever that is, which is going to be up here, which is where. Oh, actually, it does draw again. Okay. Oh, because it doesn't need to get the. Okay, let's have a think. Okay, so this gets the. Oh, this is checking to see if something exists in that location. Okay. Because this is our check location. Okay, right. So, do we grab that anywhere else in here? No, we don't. We store it, but we don't grab it. Okay, because we do the jump here. So we jump into here. We check if the chart position has changed. If it has changed, then we then we check if we need to go back again. So we check the new position to see if there is something there, and if there is something there, then we restore the char down here and we test again. Okay. Otherwise, if the char position hasn't changed, we just jump straight to here. So did update position. I feel like that should be right. I'm not sure why that's not right. Let me put that back in. Just for that one. Let's just try it on that one. It's slightly annoying that that's not. Some of my logic to do changing 5 and 12 of the 8. Yeah, that'll do it. That'll do it. I'm pretty sure I can set a breadboard up with a few components on it and use a logic probe to test them. See there, that's not working. Why doesn't that work? What is the difference here? So did the position update? Let's say yes, it did update. Okay, so the position has updated, so we jump to here, in which case we grab the new location, blah blah blah, and do this. Otherwise, we go and draw it. Okay, so is it because we're doing some crap up here that we shouldn't be doing anymore? Okay, so we skip over all of this if the screen location is changed. But on the very first load, we don't have screen low and screen high, so maybe that's what we need to move out. We just have this add in here. So, yes, okay. So, if the screen height is 0, then we need to jump to here. So, I feel like we're adding stuff in more than we're taking stuff away, but let's just try this. Oops. No. I can just about get by with electronics, but I'm not going to do. I'm certainly not confident enough to stream it. I have said that at some point I might do some easy Xbox repairs because they're quite easy to do if you pick the right kind of problems. They're quite easy to do. But unfortunately, my microscope doesn't have a camera attachment, so it's not like you can see what I'm doing. So it wouldn't be that interesting. You just be looking at me looking into a microscope. Okay, so that didn't work. Okay, let's get rid of all of this completely. Let's assume we always have to do the screen update. Is it that? recently, but it's honestly it's the best thing you can do when it comes to SMD soldering. Best purchase you can buy is a good stereo microscope or an LCD LCD screen microscope. I prefer stereo because you can you get a sense of depth which you don't get with a flat screen. But I mean, I've seen people use both. So, but for the really fine stuff, it helps to have the depth perception as well. The little packages, that's what capacitors are. They're little smoke bombs just waiting to go off. Okay, so none of those two things worked. Okay, so I don't know why that copied twice. Get rid of that. Okay, so this check here is not good enough. Why is it not good enough? What is different about checking these two values? Oh, because they've not necessarily been stored yet. So here we're just checking against the actual old position. And this is actually checking the update position. Okay. And the first time we come into this, because none of them move, right? You'll notice none of them actually move then. Also helps to not need glasses, yes. A steady hand helps as well, because when you're looking through a microscope at 20 times magnification, it's crazy how much you notice your hands shake. And also how gross fingers are as well. You can get your fingers under the microscope. It's like, kind of horrible, really, when you look at them. All the little bumps in the fingerprints and stuff. Ugh, it's gross. So we first come in here. This is definitely set to 1, so it's going to jump straight to here, which means it's going to try and load this value. And if it's equal, it's going to jump to here. This is going to draw to return, jump to draw, return 1, jump to no check. But what's making the loop? There seems to be an infinite loop here. Is it because it's going to? Is it because this is being hit all the time? I feel like it is because we're seeing lots of green, aren't we? Let's have a look again. I think we're seeing lots of green on the screen, so I think it's probably that. Yeah, that's going to be what it is, isn't it? Yeah. So yeah, see, every line has got green on it. So if I just pause that, so it's going through this entire list several times. So what's happened is it's getting in here and it's getting to this point here, and that's because it's loading that value. It's not equal to 0, so it's finding something there because that's the screen position we want to move to. Okay, well, so it should be 0. I don't know why that's not coming out of 0, so maybe that's not being set properly. Let's go and have a look. Okay, so these are set here. And they come from data screen high. Yeah. And data screen low, which should always be well, this should come in here. Should go through this and say, okay, I need to set the screen high and the screen low. Sets the screen high and the screen low. And then it comes in here, jumps to the relevant location, which in this case is going to be down here. And then for some reason, it doesn't do this. Am I getting this wrong? Hang on. So this is what stops them overlapping, you see. So if we make too much of a change here, we may cause them to overlap. But turning this on means that the char has updated. But this also means that the char has updated position. The position is new now. The Y... Oh, are we not setting Y or something? Y is 0. seeing Y set anywhere here, actually. Oh, Y set there. And it's not used anywhere else in here. So that should be fine. I feel like that is where it's failing here. This check is not getting the right position on the screen for some reason. Think about that. Why would that be different? What is the problem now? Execution time. Yeah, just trying to reduce the execution time down a little bit. So currently looking at this optimization here. So there's a little check. Whenever we go to whenever we go to move a character and draw it in a new location, we do this little check here, which checks the new position versus the old position. If the position is changed, then it jumps to this piece of code here, which actually checks. In fact, let's put a little note in here. Check to see if target location is occupied. So this checks the target location to see if there's something there. So if there's a wall there, or there's another Robotron character there, then we won't draw it. So it does that by checking if the value is 0, or if it's less than the end of the kind of dynamic font space. And in that case, what it will do is it will restore the position back. So it will take the old char. It comes down to here. It takes the old char, stores it back in char X, and then jumps to restart check again, which does another check here. So let's have a look at the restart check. So we come back to here. Which is going to have to get a new screen location. Okay, that's fine. Oh, actually, should we just be clear? Aha, hang on. No, that has to, no. It doesn't have a huge impact, but I want it to be as efficient as possible. I kind of dedicated this stream to do that, so that's kind of why I'm dedicating time to it. Because I do want to make sure that when we go on the really busy screens that have lots of sprites and stuff bouncing around, and that it does handle. And some of the screens do get very, very busy, so just makes sense to make this as efficient as possible. But I'm just wondering if, I mean, this works, right? If I get rid of this, it works. Which makes me think maybe I should change this to compare these values together. And if those values are different, then set the positional update. Then I wouldn't have to do this. I could just do this. I'm still going to be doing it though. That's the thing. I'm not. It's still going to get checked. That's the annoying thing. So, but this works now. So, yeah. So I've removed some of the jumps. I could potentially inline the some of the code as well, instead of having it in that separate section down there. That's probably another thing I could do. I mean, it is an improvement. I do definitely have an improvement. But I'm still seeing. I'm sure I will see a bit of flickering in the. Yeah, still definitely have that flickering up there. Thanks for the resub, 602 Kebab. Appreciate it. One optimization as well is the fact that they only overlap at the moment. Well, they don't overlap at all at the moment. But if I turn this piece of code on up here, where's it gone? This piece of code here. Oh my God, why can't I? Have I got another? Yeah, there we go. That's better. There we go. So I turn these two pieces of code on here. Then when things are static, it reduces a lot. However, they start piling up on top of you. Now, it's worth noting that if they're piled up on top of you, you're dead already. So, you don't have an energy bar, one hit and you're dead. So So you can see here they're not piling up on each other yet. They're still moving around, and they're not overlapping each other. Even if I kind of move around and kind of make them, you see how they're not overlapping. But if I stop, they start to do this. They start to pile into me and pile up on me. But when they stop moving, look how the optimization is. But it's only when I stop moving, so it's not a huge deal, which is why I've left it out at the moment. But it might be something I can add in should I need it. So anyway, so I'm not going to do that. I mean, obviously we've got a couple of border changes in, so there's a few cycles there, but I mean, it's not going to be a lot really. There's this value here. If we always do this section, which we are doing this, then we don't need to do that. Instead, what we can do is we can move. So we can move these. Let's do that quickly. Let's do that, and let's do that. So that means we wouldn't need these at all. Now, the question is, do we really need these values? Because if we're storing them directly in there, do we really need these two here? I don't think we do. Let's just check. Oh, we do, because we need it for the clear, unfortunately. Yeah, so it's used in the clear here to set these values as well. So we do that as a time saver there as well. The clear's not too bad. We don't need to do anything with that, I don't think. Where is the clear happening? Clear happens in the entity update anyway, if the entity updates. Oh, really? Is that okay? Can you mention that to LGB, please, Aquafin, on the XEMU brand, on the XEMU channel on Discord, and just point to the fact that we've announced that the merger branch is the one that will be used in the competition, and could he please just either rename one, but just leave it. I tell you what, I'll have a word with him afterwards, because the fact that it's called merger is part of what's it's necessary, really. Just while the competition's on, I didn't realize he was going to be doing that. I'll chat with him. It's probably easy for me to do. I'm just going to double check something quickly. That's not good if that's the case. Even if it's just a matter of calling it merger on that page. Yeah, I'll catch up with him. I need to remember to do that. I will try and remember. I need to do that pretty quick, I would say. But let me just ask him now, because sorry, bear with me a second. Bear with me. No. No, what was... You have already merger and next names. Is load accumulate with zero the fastest way to clear the accumulator? No, it is. It is the fastest way. Yeah, there isn't. Yeah, so there is the exclusive ore, but you can't do. There is no. You don't have exclusive ore. The accumulator with the there's no it's exclusive ore accumulator with the accumulator. It's always within an immediate value. So yeah, yeah, exactly. That's exactly the same thing on x86 as well. Yeah, it's exclusive ore the accumulator with the accumulator. So yeah, you're the donkey. Yeah. Unfortunately, no, there isn't. There isn't for this. I don't think there's a huge amount we can do, bar kind of shuffling things around a bit more to kind of yeah. I don't think we're gonna. I don't think we're gonna shave off hundreds and hundreds of cycles here. Um, I think the best we can do is tweak some of the, or maybe if we do the updates as well, the draw updates. No, because everything needs to be drawn. Um, so I was thrown a little bit by that the XEMU change. That's kind of thrown me for a loop a little bit. I cannot mind you. I guess I can add it into the FAQ as well. Let me add a little clarification. Okay. All right. I mean, the thing to bear in mind as well is this is a worst case scenario at the moment. So we've got the maximum number of entities on the screen. If I reduce the number of entities on the page, we should see quite a reduction in the performance hit, which is kind of realistic. But we've also got to add the bullet collision and mace collision. We've got to add lots and lots of extra little bits of collision, and that is going to bump up that frame time again. Now, the good thing with the collision stuff is you can do it anywhere in the frame. It really doesn't matter where you do it because it's not going to directly affect the rendering. You can have it, removed on the next frame. That's fine. The problem is we need the actual positional updates to happen. Oh, why is it drawing more? Did I not save that properly? Wait, did I have too many in there? Did I just have shitloads when I shouldn't have? I did, didn't I? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Yeah, way too many. My God. Well, I mean, it wouldn't have added half of those. Half of those wouldn't have appeared because there's a max limit on them. Staggered update. I don't want. So the deltas are updated, staggered, but I don't want the positions to be updated staggered. They're already moving at 4 pixels per frame. If I stagger the actual draws themselves, it's going to start looking really kind of janky, and so I'm trying to avoid that. But this is probably a more realistic, example of what we would see on the screen, and that's not bad at all. But there may be some sprites in here. There may be some collision stuff going on as well. So I wouldn't say it's too bad. But we've made some small changes tonight. I'm kind of happy with what we've done there. Not a huge amount, but really just kind of saving a bit of time more than anything else. But yeah, the deltas are updated on a stagger, but the draws actually, they kind of have to be drawn all at the same time because actually no, they don't necessarily, but they do need to. They do need to move every frame, otherwise they will look really kind of naff. I think. Let's just have a look. Actually, let's see. It has to be. I mean, it's the red and blue section, so it's definitely this check location stuff, which is slowing it down. Just wondering if this can be. combined somehow. Can somebody actually do a test for me with XEMU? Somebody who's got a spare minute or so. I like it. I wish that was the case. Can someone just test the whatever the latest branch is, the next branch on the download page, just to see if that is if that is the same branch? I'm not sure. I'm not sure which one is which now. I guess we need to know which one is the most up to date for stuff. Because now anybody joins the competition goes to download this, they're not going to find the right files at all. They're going to be confused because the merger branch is not there. I've said it's the one at the bottom of the page, but it still doesn't really say it's the correct one or not. So, okay, let's have a look. So, is there a way we can do this comparison easier? Not really, because well, if we don't do that comparison, what happens? I guess they all start overlapping, right? That's what will happen here. The PS5 and the AMK point price. I like your confidence. I'm doing my best to give you some competition in the AMK, but it's not working. You're far too far ahead. Okay. Actually, interesting. They're not overlapping, which is I'm not sure why that is. Actually, they should be overlapping, surely. Wait, why aren't they overlapping? That means none of this is. Wait. That can't be right. That cannot be right. Let me just put a space after this. Or no, that can't possibly be right. That doesn't make any sense. Because if it is right, then that means there's a whole section that I don't need to actually do anymore. Why would that be, though? Why wouldn't they overlap each other here? I'm immediately going to do the draw. Okay. Or is it because I'm checking some of them and not... maybe it's because of the... No, I think they'll overlap here now. Oh, crash. That's a fun one. Wait, what? Why? Why is it crashing? But I think the reason that's happening, the reason it was working is because actually, if you... Oh, no, actually, if you join in a 1 by 1, it shouldn't... I'm not sure now. I'm starting to doubt myself now. But anyway, turning off that first one worked. But what I was thinking is if it's in a half position, then it needs to check. Whereas if it's in a because it needs to check all the locations around it. Whereas if it's in a one by one position, it doesn't really need to check. But it's just, in my head, there's kind of some broken logic that seems to make sense there, and it seems to be verified by what I'm seeing on screen. But I'm not entirely sure it's correct. Let me undo the comments on here. So let's put the worst case scenario back in, so I can tell a bit better then. A good test would be to run any of the competition games on it. GHAF's Blaster, for instance, perfect example. Something that's using VIC-4 features that wouldn't work on the normal version, or Turrican, or oh yeah, it is. It is slightly improved. That is slightly less. It's not as far below that as it was before. That's good. All right. So okay, now thinking about the broken logic in my head, how is that working? So why is that working? Okay, so if it's going to draw in a 1x1 chart, it always draws. But then if it's in a 2x1, if it's trying to draw over something in like a 2x2, oh, because things will always try and gravitate towards a 1x1. Because if it's in a 2x1, what will happen is it can't move. Say it's in a 2x1 and it's blocked. So let's draw this out, right? If you've got, let me do it up here. So if you've got a load of enemies surrounding this one, so this double lowercase a means that it's one item but spread over 2 squares. So we've got 5 baddies here. 4 of them are on 1x1s, and this one in the middle is a 2x1. Now this can't move up and it can't move down, but it can move to this side here, and it can move like that. So a 2x1 can check that it can automatically move because it can move into its own space, right? A 1x1 doesn't need to check. No, it does need to check because it would try. Oh no, because it would try to move to here, but then the one that's there would automatically move to there anyway, so we'd end up with that position. So that's why that one works, which means it's the only one that will work. The 1x1 is so my logic was right. Chicken Fibonacci. Ooh, that does sound like a really nice cool. Thank you, Akenfin. It does sound like a really, really nice nice dish, doesn't it? Chicken Fibonacci. Extra sauce, please. Okay, so that's kind of nice because that means we've got a tiny optimization from the fact that a 1x1 will always be able to move into the position of one that's a 2x1, a 1x2, or a 2x2, because that one itself can move into its own space, if you like. It can move into one of the squares that it's taking up. So it can move from being a 2x1 to a 1x1, or a 1x2 to a 1x1, or a 2x2 into a 2x1 or a 1x2. So it can change, which is good. Which means we don't need this here. In fact, we don't need any of this defer to sprite stuff. That's going to change now. We don't need that. So, but in this case, we don't need any of this. We're automatically doing none of that and just jumping straight to return 1x1, which means we actually don't need to do any of this at all. We can just jump straight to return 1x1. This whole section here is completely irrelevant. Okay, so there's another little bit of optimization. Okay, so what I will do, I'll update the rules for the competition then to say next branch, formerly merger branch, and hope that people read the instructions. Yeah, I'll do that. I think that's probably the safest bet. Let me just put a note here. It's not 100% accurate. It will clarify And FAQ. Wait, all right. Thanks for pointing that out to me. I wish somebody had mentioned that to me when that it was happening. Oh well, I mean, yeah. In front of the building was actually considered already mentioned. Okay, contains all the things that merger did. Okay, yeah. So LGB said as such. So that's fine. That's fine. Thank you, Akafim, for pointing that out. I mean, LGB did mention he did tag people as well in it. I just didn't spot it because I was in the stream, so just need to remind myself to update the rules before I write that on here. I'll do that tomorrow. I'm not doing it tonight. So I've got two things to do before Saturday: update the competition rules and sort out the joke API. All right, let's have a look. So I think we've made another slight optimization there. Yeah, see, it's spending even less time in this raster section now, and we're still getting the same effect. So that's good. Okay, cool. So we're slowly chipping away at this. Okay, so the problem is now that these routines here seem to be problematic. So let's go back to this again. Maybe it was just the first one. Let's check the update position here. Add Willow to add Willow's already added in. Yeah, Willow's already added in. 5 points for Akman. Yeah, I'll give Akman 5 for that. I'm trying to find reasons now to give people points on it. So let's add Akman some points in there. Thank you, Akman, for informing me of that. You're way ahead. Oh no, see that's not working. There's no way you're not winning that. There's no way you're not winning it. You've definitely won it. If you don't win it, I'll be shocked. I'll be absolutely shocked. I'm very disappointed in you. Yeah. I won't be angry, I'll be disappointed. Okay, so that doesn't work. We have to do this check. Okay, fine. So can we reduce these checks? Because there's a lot of checks going on here. Okay, so these defer to sprites. I'm going to leave them in because we may have different things in eventually. For now, I don't really care about them. But let's have a look at if we restore the char. What do we do? Okay, so restoring the char repeats a whole section. You need at least 52% of all A and K. Yeah. Oh yeah. You need a majority of points. Otherwise, I basically take the Raspberry Pi, and I break it up into lots of little bits and send you all the equivalent percentage. No, you've done a really good job of earning these points, Andy. To be honest, I have been a little bit. I wouldn't say unfair. I think I've just been a bit stricter with your points, to be honest, because I don't want it to be like too much of a whitewash. A slice of the pie. I like it. I like it. Wow. I mean, there's no competition between. Well, in the quiz league, it's either Steps or SP that's going to be. SP's catching up though. It's not. It's not clear. As clear cut as the AMK points. Okay, so this is the other thing that happens is this redraw thing, right? So instead of drawing, we reset. And so I'm just wondering if there's something in here that we can change. Because we jump back to restart check, which comes back up here, and then restart check goes through this system again. It says, okay, grab the new location. So this is the actually, do we just need to draw at this point? We grab the old location and just draw it back. We don't need to check anything at this point. We just say, okay, draw it, right? But we do need to grab that old location. Or do we? No, because Oh no, we do, because we need the screen high and the screen low. Okay, so we do need that. All right. We could source screen high, screen low as well. Or we could just say the position has updated. Don't. All right, well, let's see what happens, right? So the position is definitely updated. And char X, char Y, and then it'll try to add. It needs to draw. That's what it needs to do. So it would have to come directly to. Actually, if instead of drawing. Sorry, not instead of drawing. If we do, instead of. Where is it? Instead of doing this in this way, if we did an RTS here. In fact, we don't need the old type either. That can go. We did an RTS here instead. Whoops. And then in here, we've got restore char X, char Y. We need to do this bit here. So this would have to be, right, let's just do it on this one first. So this would have to be jump ahead like that. This would have to be like that. And that would be, because I don't want to run the second half again. Thank you very much for the follow, Shatterix. Welcome to the stream. Hope you're doing well. It's all cool. It's meant to get everyone involved at the end of the day, as long as I win. That's the spirit, Andy. No, it's supposed to get people involved, and it definitely does. I think it's one of those things. People get involved if they can, but there is, there's some people will just get involved because they're kind of really invested in the code and really involved in the code a lot. But the points are there to encourage those who might not normally take part in this kind of thing to suggest things. And I think it works. It does definitely work. Hey, oh no, see, it's not working. It's doing weird jittery stuff. So it's not getting put back properly, and it's overlapping. Okay, so that hasn't worked. Okay, let me undo that crap then. So what I was hoping that was going to do was when it restored the char, that it was still going to go and draw it. But instead it just kind of it failed basically. Whereas what it should have done was restored the char. Oh, but then it has to go and get the screen address for the new location. Okay. So just trying to think about this a little bit logically. Okay, let's keep that in place. Let's instead get rid of this here. So instead of jumping to the restart check, we'll jump to skip. Oh, we were doing this before, weren't we? And it wasn't doing anything. Storing the old types back again. Yeah, okay, it wasn't doing anything there. Let's just keep that old type in for now. I kind of want to use that maybe for something. Yeah, so we had this on the line below. I can see it, so store that. See what this does. I think it will just stop drawing them when they should kind of when they collide. Like one of them will disappear. It's fine. I kind of wanted to take it easy tonight. I didn't want to do too much. Bit of drinking, a bit of optimization, not too bad. Oh, actually, that's all right. I mean, they're flickering a bit, but That's probably because they're clearing all the time. So they're going a frame without being drawn. But optimization wise, that's working. So, okay, in that case, this is why we need to draw a restart check. Okay. What about if we move the clear? Hang on, where's the clear? The clear is being run from. I got freaking Fortnite things in the bottom of the screen. Don't clear if the item has not been updated, but if the item has been updated, then we need to do clear. So let's try moving that from here. And in that's in the calculate entity data. Though. Oh wait. Yeah, no, that happens to everything because it's okay. Let's try moving that out of it. Actually, let's just comment that out so I know where to put it back. And instead, we'll do that in the draw function before we calculate the new screen address. So up here, where is it? Draw. Okay, so we check. Where is it? Oh, it's up here, isn't it? Yeah, this is, yeah, okay, screen vec is here. Okay, so we need to check with the screen height, because if the screen height doesn't exist, then we also shouldn't be clearing. Okay, let's try that. Hopefully this will stop the flickering. But now you see they're taking much longer to update. I don't know why that is. And they're still flickering anyway. And they're overlapping, so it's not working. All right. Damn, it's too good to be true. That I thought it was. Thought we'd found something sneaky there. Okay. No, we kind of have to do that restart, don't we? We have to come back here again and fetch this value again. Yeah, we don't have a choice. All right, we do need to do that. Damn. All right. Well, I'm going to spend another 10 minutes, but it's not looking good, is it? Let's get rid of the old. No, let's leave that in actually, because there's a section that can possibly use that. Okay. I mean, it isn't bad now. It's definitely less than it was by at least 10 or so lines, maybe a little bit more actually. And certainly when the numbers are reduced on that screen, then they're a lot better. But let's take a look. Oh, a bit of Nemo. It must be Proton. Hey, Proton. Yeah, it's definitely a lot better. We're still hearing that interrupt there, because maybe if we move that interrupt, that would improve. But the thing is, I think that interrupt's probably to do with the sprite multiplexer as well. Although we're not using the sprite multiplexer on this screen, so we could potentially remove the sprite multiplexer a little bit here. We don't really need it. It's dynamic anyway. So the actual number of restarts is only 2. 1, 2 restarts here. So that's not too bad either. And the bulk of time does seem to still be spent in the red section though, which is still this bit here, from here downwards. I have a feeling this could be done more efficiently. That might be something to take a look at. So this is taking it's taking char X and a char Y and producing. See, the problem is here is we're using these values. We're having to do these every time, and the reason we're doing that is because char X and char Y are stored as 4 times as kind of quadruple values, because we still need to store the kind of fractional bits in the between. So we need the half values, which is where they're drawn at half pixels, half characters, sorry. But then we need the quarter values, which are going to define the the fractional positions between those, which don't get drawn but still get calculated in terms of movement. So these X's and comma Y's are all adding a cycle here. Moving some of this into 0 page might help, but we don't have an awful lot of 0 page room either. Tables, well, it's not going to help either, really. I mean, the biggest change here would probably be moving char X and char Y into 0 page. Yeah. But again, I don't think, because I mean, it is used here, it's used here, so there is a few places where it gets pulled in. But then after that, it's not used. I mean, it's used down here to record, maybe. But again, I mean, that's going to be, well, I mean, what is it? Potentially 32 entries in 0 page, and we just don't have the room for that with everything else that's going on in here. I mean, we could probably squeeze it in, but it's for Robotron, it doesn't make any sense. It's such a small part of what's going on. Let's have a look at what the 0 page usage is down there. Where is the 0 page actually? Fucking hell, I've got so much crap up there. Wait, where is it? Oh, this output is really weird now because it's all cartridge. So, oh, here we go. Okay, so there is a little bit down here. 60, well, not 64, but like 50 odd at the top here, and it could be a temporary thing, but I don't like it. I don't like it at all. Let's have another look. Let's last 5 minutes or so. Let's see if there's something else we can do. Maybe we can use LAX or something if there's a good place to use. I don't think there will be though, unfortunately. No, there's not going to be, is there? Because the X is an index in there, so we could unroll the loop. That's one option. But for the number of entities we've got, and the amount of code that would be in that loop, it'd be a very expensive unroll. Very expensive unroll indeed. But it would save us a shitload of cycles. A shitload. Because every time we see this index, we're saving at least one cycle. So that would be like 6, 7. Well, no, because it wouldn't be the comma Y's, it'd be the comma X's. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24. Oh, God, yeah, it would save a lot. We'd probably save about 16 lines or so. When's the deadline for the challenge? Saturday before the stream, I think. Yeah, start of the stream on Saturday. So I will test as many of the challenges as I can before the stream. Obviously, if you submit like just before the stream, I'm not going to really get a chance to check it. The only thing you need to be sure is that if you take a default installation of Vice, whatever is it 3.5, the latest one? I don't know what version I'm on actually at the moment. I need to check. Where's the information help? Here we go about Vice. I'm on 3.4 at the moment, so I need to update mine as well anyway. But if you take Vice, whatever the latest version of Vice is, the latest stable version of Vice, a default install, so reset all the settings. So it's all default settings except for one, which is injector RAM. So as long as your auto start is injector RAM, everything else is default. Then basically I'm gonna just drop your PRG onto Vice and compare the output. And that's it, really. So with illegal opcodes, yeah, I was thinking illegal opcodes might help. Do you know though? Looking at this, unrolling this loop would be probably 30 cycles saved per iteration, with maximum Robotron entries, which I think we've got at 16 at the moment. I think would be. I mean, it would be significant. It would be 8 or so lines. So. Make sure these guys did it. Well, this is the thing. I haven't checked, but as I said, there's at least one entry that's under 50 bytes, and that's PRG size as well. So where's my constants file? Maximum Robotron entries is entities is 16. Yeah, so 16. Yeah. Actually, does changing this affect the overall update? If we're not updating all the time, let me just change that. If I slow down the update, so they're going to move slower, does it actually change the amount of time spent doing the rest of it? Maybe not. So yeah, make sure you test it on. I will be doing it on Vice 3.5, so just make sure you test that. Whatever the latest stable version of Vice is what I'll be testing it on. Oh, it does as well. Look, it's definitely actually that's not bad as well. I still feel like they're moving at a wait, what? Oh no, they are a bit slower, aren't they? Definitely a bit slower. Okay, so what happens if I update? Because the actual updates themselves must be power of 2. So if I did 8, update group count, let me do 2. Sorrow. Oh, actually, did I miss Shatterix? I don't think I did, but I'm going to say thank you for the follow anyway. So thank you for the follow, Shatterix, and thank you for the follow, SarW7. There we go. Nothing from Mr. Speaker. I don't know who that is. The name rings a bell, but I'm not sure who exactly it is. So, oh, okay. So it does have a small effect on it. So now they're updating in 2 groups. I need to check the speeds, but I mean, this looks acceptable, I think. And again, this is with 16. I don't expect to see 16 on the screen at once anyway. It is just like when we start adding the collision in, it's going to get tricky to check the collision on 16 objects. I might be able to get away with. Oh no, because I can't because of the particles are going to screw that up. I was going to say I could get away with a hardware initial check, but I can't. Because you could potentially have particles. So for instance, if I explode that one and then stand over it, then it's gonna cause a collision event, and then yeah. Oh, thanks, ISK. Thank you very much. I'll download that in a minute. I won't download it now because I don't know where it's going to appear. I don't want to give anything away. So, but thank you very much. Okay, cool. I think I'll leave it there. We'll take a look at this next time. It's definitely improved. There's definitely I can't be sure because there's definitely an interrupt happening here, and I can't tell exactly. But I would say probably between 10 and 20 lines have been saved, with pretty much the same output here. I definitely seen some differences with changing these values here. So changing these the updates per frame sort of thing is definitely having an effect. So changing it to 1.2 instead of 2.4, which groups them into 4 separate zones of updates, 2 at a time, or 2 separate zones of updates, 1 at a time, should have the effect of roughly the same speed. But definitely, actually, they're not. It's a lot quicker on this one. But the quicker they are, the more it takes. But it still isn't a lot. We're still flickering around in that view. So, okay, cool. Right, let's find someone to raid. Then we'll continue this next time. So I think what we'll do on the next stream is I think we'll start adding the collision in for these things. I'm not going to worry about the sprites until we get to the screens that need them. So we'll add the collision into these. We might start seeing that actually, because what we're doing is not real world play, right? What we're seeing is 16 objects that just don't disappear. They don't kill you. You can't kill them. It's not. It's not practical. So let's wait and get a decent kind of gameplay specific version of it running and see if we need to do anything more. I think it's probably okay for now. But yeah, anyway. Okay, cool. Let's find someone to raid. Thank you very much, guys, for coming along tonight. Oh, God, I'm hearing myself there. That's very disconcerting. No, that's the wrong button. Let's find a raid. Ooh, who's on? Gunstar Heroes. We've not raided Gunstar for a while. Let's go and see what he's playing. Looks like Bomberman of some kind. Yeah, let's raid Gunstar Heroes. I think he's only just started at that. I don't know though. Maybe I'm wrong. Yeah, good progress. Thank you, Nick. Yeah, I think so. I think it's been pretty good. We'll do some collision stuff next time. Start making that screen interesting, because really, it's just about going through these screens and optimizing each kind of little bit, and then slowly but surely things are going to start to come together. By the end of the year, I want to be in a position where actually it's just kind of the donkey work of building each screen, really, and the rest of it is kind of there's not a lot to do in terms of kind of complex stuff. So we'll put the collision in, and then I think after that we'll do the cartridge loading stuff. Oh, did the raid stop? What the hell? Try again. I think the raid stopped for some reason. That was weird. Okay, cool. Yeah, I love you all, guys. Yeah, I love you all too. Yeah, good night, guys. I'll see you all on Saturday. We'll announce the challenge results and such. Take care, guys. Have a nice weekend until Saturday. Cheerio.